Sorry, I don't know what happened there. I think we somehow lost connection. But let me start again in saying that they say a week is a long time in politics, but to be honest, I would say a day is a long time in politics at this rate because so much has happened in the last day in the Middle East. And I want to cover what's happened, particularly with regard to Israel. Now, there was, first of all, the first key point to make is that there has been a crucial attack on the Yemen capital, a Houthi controlled airport. The IDF have completely disabled their airport. And this was crucial for the Houthis being able to carry out their operations. Let's have a watch of. You can see this is footage posted on social media that showed Israel's strikes on the Sana'a International Airport and other nearby targets in Yemen's Houthi-controlled capital. So this took place today. Now, this took place, one should know, in the aftermath of an attack on basically Israel's central airport, Ben Gurion, just a day or two ago, where a Houthi missile went and was lobbed over into Israel, and due to a technical failure from Israel's air defense, Iron Dome and other air defense systems, it didn't manage to block this missile. And this, by the way, is a reminder. Now, no one was severely injured or killed, thank God. But this is a reminder that, we're so used to and desensitized to the fact that the Iron Dome is able to protect and these air defense systems are able to protect, that we're kind of desensitized to the fact that these actually are intended to cause so much damage and could cause so much damage if there's just one technical failure, as we saw here. So frankly, in my view, even if they're lobbing rockets and not one person is moderately injured and they're all intercepted, that still gives Israel every single right and I would say duty to go after the people immediately and destroy their capabilities and ability to attack you. As the Torah and the Talmud teaches, if someone rises to kill you, you kill them first. That is morality. Whoever preaches suicidal morality that says, no, turn the other cheek, if they kill you, if they try to kill you, respond with love, that's suicidal, and that is based on a warped view of morality that basically I think comes from an emphasis on the next life and the next world, whereas Judaism and the Torah teaches that no, we should try and preserve life here, make life better here. Our job is not to try and get to heaven, it's to try and bring heaven down to earth. That's Judaism, that is Israel. That, by the way, happens to be what the name Israel means. Jacob was given the name Israel after he fought with the angel of death. How symbolic is that? That's what Israel is named after. And God says, you will now be known as Israel. Why? Because you have striven with man and God and overcome. That is Israel, the nobility of the struggle. But I want to first talk about what the implications are of this attack. And then Trump has also spoken about this. And then the Houthis have responded. So let's just unpack everything that's sort of taken place. So first of all, we know that Israeli warplanes carried out a wave of airstrikes in Yemen on Tuesday afternoon, which the military said completely disabled Sana'a International Airport in the Houthi-controlled capital and hit other targets. The strikes for the second day in a row came in response to the Iran-backed group's repeated missile and drone attacks on Iran, including one missile that hit inside the grounds of Ben Gurion Airport on Sunday, which the IDF said, and we've seen footage of actually. Now, dozens of Israeli Air Force aircraft were involved in the strikes on Yemen on Tuesday today, including fighter jets, refuelers, and spy planes. And Sana'a International Airport, which had been hit once by the IAF before, was completely disabled following the strikes that targeted its runways, aircraft, and infrastructure, the military said. Footage posted online purportedly showed the Israeli strikes. There were no immediate reports of casualties. The IDF said the airport was used by the Houthis for transferring weapons and operatives and is regularly operated by the Houthi regime for terror purposes. As Israel's Defense Minister Katz said, if you hit us, we'll hit you 10 times as hard. Have a watch of this clip that was posted on social media of Israel's attack. Also, it's a clever move given that they target one of their rockets hit near Ben Gurion Airport.
I think not.
Because this is also obviously their airport and it's hitting them 10 times as hard. So there you can see the devastation. And an hour before the strike on the airport, by the way, the IDF issued an unprecedented urgent warning to civilians. In a post to X, the IDF's Arabic language spokesman said, "We call upon you to evacuate the area immediately. Warn everyone in your vicinity of the need to evacuate this area immediately." Now, obviously, this is a highly, highly significant moment. Now, we need to kind of collect all the pieces together because so much has happened in the past few days. So, before this, Trump posted earlier. He said, "Let nobody be fooled." This was in March that he said the hundreds of attacks being made by Houthi, the sinister mobsters and thugs based in Yemen, who are hated by the Yemeni people, all emanate from and are created by Iran. Any further attack or retaliation by the Houthis will be met with great force, and there is no guarantee that the force will stop there. Iran has played the innocent victim of rogue terrorists from which they've lost control, but they haven't lost control. They're dictating every move, giving them the weapons, supplying them with money and highly sophisticated military equipment, and even so-called intelligence. Every shot fired by the Houthis will be looked upon from this point forward as being a shot fired from the weapons and leadership of Iran. And Iran will be held responsible and suffer the consequences, and those consequences will be dire. But now it's looking very confusing at the moment. It's unclear what is Trump's plan for Iran. So on the one hand, he's talking tough, and he's been saying just recently, he said there cannot be any nuclear military capabilities whatsoever. But there's also talk of finding a diplomatic solution and, negotiations and all that. And it's kind of just a bit unclear at the moment what direction he's going to take and who will come out on top. He's been tough. He said the US will penalize anyone that takes Iranian oil. So he's certainly talking tough. But what's going to happen is unclear. Now, just after the attack, I believe it was just after Israel's attack on the airport, Trump made a statement about the Houthis capitulating. Have a watch of this. This was today, where he was with newly elected ghastly Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada.
We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings. And they have capitulated, but more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore, and that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas. It wasn't just the canal. It was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis, effective immediately. We had some very good...
Okay, so that's what he said, right? And it looked like maybe, that must be a result of this airport bombing, and the Houthis just thought, okay, we can't carry on. This is too tough. But there's now been a new report. This is updated literally just a few moments ago on the Times of Israel. And what are they saying? Houthis vow attacks on Israel to continue after Trump announces halt to Yemen strikes. So what on earth is going on? Let me share with you some of the story. By the way, you can comment in there's like a live comment chat, and I'll react to some of your comments soon. So what has been reported at the moment? Let's just get the latest on this. Israel said, surprised by declaration the US will immediately stop targeting the Iran-backed rebels as part of ceasefire broken by Oman, which is also mediating US-Iran nuclear talks. So let's get the latest on what the Houthis have been saying. The head of Yemen's Houthi Supreme Political Council, Mahdi al-Mashad, says the Iran-aligned group will continue its attacks to support Gaza. Houthi-affiliated Al Masirah TV reports he advises Israelis to remain in shelters because their government will not be able to protect them, indicating the ceasefire with the US does not include a halt to the group's attacks on Israel. The head of Yemen's Houthi Supreme Revolutionary Committee, Mohammed Ali al-Houthi, meanwhile says the US halt of aggression against Yemen will be evaluated according to a post on X, which also suggests the rebels will continue attacking Israel. Okay, well, if that's what they choose to do, if they want to continue to attack Israel, then Israel will hit them 10 times harder, and certainly they should do that. But before I go to your comments, there's another thing that I said has taken place, and this relates to another comment that someone made just now, Marinan, who said, Israel belongs to the Israelis. I'm glad that they are taking up for themselves. Well, indeed, because that is what we are seeing happening at the moment. There's been a new announcement. Netanyahu has said the IDF will hold captured areas in Gaza until Hamas defeated and hostages are freed. Great. Just one little caveat or tweak that I implore the Prime Minister of the Jewish state to make, which is that we should change that bit until Hamas defeated and the hostages are freed. No, Gaza should be Jewish. We gave the Arab side a chance to show that they just wanted peace. They just wanted statehood. We gave them a chance to have a little state of their own, to show what they could do with it if we were to, God forbid, leave Judea and Samaria as well. And what did they do? They didn't build up, they built down tunnels of terror. They're not interested in states. They don't believe that they are... for them, it's not about, a nation state that they're after, and they just feel that they're a suppressed and oppressed distinct group of people that wants their land back. No, it's religious, it's ideological. They think that Muslims and Islam should control this plot of land, because for the Jews to return to that land, to no longer be dhimmis and second-class citizens, but to be equals, to restore sovereignty to their land, ruins their whole narrative of Islam. It says that Islam will conquer the world. And actually it gives a huge amount of validation to the Torah, to Judaism, because it says that God actually never forsook the Jewish people. Christians and Muslims looked at the Jews during their 2,000-year exile and they said, well, look, the Jews have been so downtrodden. God clearly has forsaken the Jews. He's ended his covenant with them. We are the new chosen voices for God, chosen vessels of God. The second the Jews return to the land, well, you got a problem. Now, many Christians, particularly evangelicals, have said we just need to adjust our theology and say that God has maintained his covenant with the Jews. Now, Muslims could do that, and there's a very, 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 very small minority that have done that and do that. I think of Ed Hussein, Loe al-Sharif, and others. But the majority say, no, this is just a test from God. You know, the Jews have just wrongfully re-established sovereignty in their ancient homeland, and it's a test from God, and we need to annihilate it. It is the little Satan. But of course, that is false. It's not true, and it's ungodly. And therefore, given that the Palestinian cause is entirely based on jihadist ideological hatred and not based on genuine desire for self-determination, and much more importantly than that, this is a land that is Jewish, historically, biblically, and from divine right. And also it's what we have fought, our people have fought, stressed over, died over, shed blood over, blood, sweat and tears. For goodness sake, the people there launch an attack on us to try and destroy us. This land is rightfully, Gaza is rightfully Jewish. So Prime Minister Netanyahu said, sorry for that long preamble there, but I feel it's important to just set the record straight on this. Prime Minister Netanyahu said on Monday that the military will stay stationed in whatever areas of the Gaza Strip are captured until all the goals of the war are reached. In a video that he posted on his personal X account, he said that last night we sat late into the night in the cabinet and decided on an intensified operation in Gaza. And he said he believes that, the IDF Chief of Staff believes this will also help us rescue the hostages along the way. I agree with him. We're not letting up on the effort. We will not give up on a single one. We won't talk about the details and what we're doing for the defeat of Hamas. But one thing is clear. We're not going in and out of Gaza just to call up reserves so they'll come and seize territory. We withdraw from territory and carry out our raids on what remains. That's not the intention. What's our intention? The opposite, he concluded. IDF spokesman Brigadier General Effie Defrin said Monday evening that the goal of the new and intensified phase of the war, dubbed Operation Gideon's Chariots, is the return of our hostages and the defeat of Hamas's rule. The two goals are combined with each other, he said, adding that the offensive will include a wide-scale attack on the movement of the majority of the Strip's population. This is to protect them in an area sterile of Hamas and continued airstrikes, elimination of terrorists, and dismantling of infrastructure. Now, there's no doubt that this kind of strategy will put way more pressure on Hamas. The idea of them losing territory, them facing far less pinpoint attacks, but going far more comprehensively. But I say the world is not accepting the constant, what's the best way to describe it? Catch-22, or Catch-67 as it's termed, where Israel's not really giving a finality to a resolution of this. They're sort of saying, yeah, we'll go in and we'll seize territory, but then we're not going to take it over and we just want to get rid of Hamas, but then what are we going to do? What's going to happen next? It's all very unclear. We should stop being afraid of stating the truth, of being clear with the world. This is Jewish land. The Palestinian cause is fake. They've had their chance to have sovereignty and they've blown it. They've shown themselves for who they really are. And now we are going to have our turn at having this plot of land and carving out a new path. The article continues. Netanyahu's video, along with the statements from the IDF spokesman and the official, affirms what many government figures have said since the cabinet's decision was announced Saturday night. Namely, the IDF will no longer withdraw from captured areas as it has done during much of the first year and a half of the war against Hamas in Gaza. Some government figures even went a step further than the Prime Minister, saying that Israel's goal is to occupy the Strip, a word Netanyahu did not use in his statement. Finance Minister Smotrich said Monday that Israel will not withdraw from Gaza even if there is another hostage deal, telling Israelis to stop being afraid of the word occupation. We're finally going to occupy the Gaza Strip. Similarly, Culture Minister Miki Zohar said Monday that the real goal of the renewed Israeli offensive against Hamas is the complete occupation of the Strip, acknowledging that such a move endangers those who remain in captivity, but there's no choice left. Polls have consistently shown that the large majority of the Israeli public favours a deal that would see all the hostages held in Gaza released, even if it means ending the war. That, as much as I can sympathise with that and understand that, it is short-sighted. We have to address the security threats long term. Now, this whole issue of our fear of saying we want to reoccupy Gaza, we want to do all this, it's really mistaken. It's dangerous. I was thinking recently about the fact that the word Hamas in Hebrew, do you know what it means? It means corruption. And actually, we read about that. That was the Torah reading of the week after October 7th happened in 2023. It was the story of Noah, when God said he wanted to destroy the world because it had become filled with Hamas, corruption and evil. That's what it means in Hebrew. But, it actually means something specific, of a specific type of corruption. And this may be surprising to some people. But you know what it means? And I'm actually going to make a unique video on this because I think this is so important. The word Hamas in Hebrew, Hamas, doesn't just mean corruption, but specifically it means thievery, theft. The world became filled with theft and God said, I have to destroy it. Interestingly, by the way, when the Tower of Babel story happens later, he doesn't destroy the world because this time they weren't thieving each other. They weren't stealing from each other. They were trying to dethrone God, go up, build a tower up to heaven and dethrone him. For that, God can say, I'll just scatter you. If it's, if it's a slight on me, I'll scatter you. If it's a slight on your fellow man, it's two insults in a way. It's an insult to God's creation and to his creation itself, to the creation itself. Teaching us that actually the way we act towards our fellow man God says is even more important than the way we act towards God. But that's a side point. The key thing is that the word means theft. Now, isn't that interesting? Because what is the fundamental claim of Hamas? The fundamental claim that they certainly say to the West, and the fundamental claim of the whole Palestinian cause. What is their number one premise? That the Jews are not genociders. Yeah, they say that, but that's not the key thing. That's not the root of this. That the Jews are colonizers? No, that's not the key word is the Jews are thieves. They stole this land. Free Palestine. The Jews are foreign agents, foreign colonizers. They don't belong here. For 2,000 years, we were told Jews go back to Palestine, and now we come back there and they say leave. But anyway, they say we're thieves. But isn't that interesting? Because they are what they accuse us of. They, the Arabs, who are in Judea and Samaria and Gaza, leading Hamas and these other groups, they are the ones who are thieves. They are the ones who are lying and corrupt, saying that the Jews are the thieves. The Jews are the rightful inheritors of the land of Israel. The Arabs are not. We've been happy to live alongside them in a Jewish state, but with one small caveat, that they don't try and kill us. We've even tried to give them two kinds of states, one for us, one for them, and they just use that to plot attacks against us, as seen through the experiment of Gaza. But the reason I'm saying all this is very simple. It's because this hesitance to say, no, we're not going to reoccupy Gaza. We're not going to do that. We're just going to just to pressure Hamas. We have this inferiority complex, this guilt complex that says it's not really ours, that maybe we are thieves, maybe it doesn't belong to us. We need to get out of that mindset. We need to actually learn from the other side, dare I say, specifically on the point of, not on their morality, God forbid, but on their uncompromising nature of saying this is ours and you're the thieves. No, we should turn it around and say the same thing in reverse. So I think it's so important. Now, I do think, by the way, that people are starting, perhaps, to wake up to this a little bit. The fact that they're starting to talk about this. It's taking too long to settle in. And I'm worried that if October 7th passes into the distance too much and become a faded memory and we'll go back to the old, tired tunes of the past. But there are some suggestions that people are starting to wake up. Look at the fact that Benny Gantz said Israel's full withdrawal from Gaza in 2005 was a mistake. As we'd say in yeshiva and religious circles, shkoyach, well done. Speaking at West Bank Confab, National Unity Party leader expresses support security control over the entire strip. He rejects rebuilding settlements there. But at least he's acknowledging, I mean, for goodness sake, the fact that it's taken so long to say that. But yes, people hopefully are starting to wake up a little bit. Okay, now I want to take some of your comments before I finish. Let's have a look. The promised land belongs to the Jews. Yes, absolutely indeed. Yetzi says it can mean theft or sexual immorality, according to I don't remember. And possibly avodah zarah. Yeah, very interesting. May well mean a lot of those things as well, but that's certainly what I learned from my reading, that it meant corruption and thievery. Marion says, if the IDF accidentally do anything wrong, they're condemned like monsters. I know it's ridiculous. It's like no one can ever put a foot wrong when it comes to war in the heat and mess and fog of war. It's just unbelievable. It's bullying. It's pathetic. The world's position of Israel being an illegal occupying beast seems ridiculous to me. All they want to do is defend. Yeah, but I'm saying maybe we should start to change that approach. Instead of being defensive, let's go on the offensive and say this is our land, this is ours. We're not going to be here just to defend ourselves. We are here permanently as the rightful inhabitants of this land. What else are we getting? Forgotten Country says, God bless Israel. Teenage Wasteland says, give Trump time to reply to this. Yep, fair enough. I think that's Sharon Breslov, maybe. Enjoy watching your channel. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Lilac Rubin says, what's going on with Trump? I find it odd that he announced that. Let's see. We'll find out. My brother works at Ben Gurion Airport for Laos. He said there was a massive boom. We're not safe 100%. We must never forget that. Absolutely right. We must always not become complacent. And remember that our help comes from above. We have to do our hishtadlut, but ultimately Hashem protects us. And the miracles that we've seen just really show how much Israel is the apple of God's eye. It's a miracle. Israel's story and survival and thriving is a miracle. Franklin Smith says, don't ever give back an inch of Gaza. That mistake was made once before. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Absolutely. That's absolutely right. Now, guys, before we finish, I want to tell you about a new channel that's being created to share explanatory videos on all kinds of topics. And it would be so great if you could give them a boost by clicking on the video to watch it and liking the video and writing a comment. I've put the link in the chat box. It's in the video description as well. It's about the Mossad pager incredible operation where they managed to lace loads of Hezbollah pagers which were purchased to avoid Israeli surveillance, but Israel was ahead of the game and knew that and laced them with explosives and managed to avoid a massive war with Hezbollah. It's totally miraculous. But they've created this 50-minute video explaining the inside story of the operation. I'll show you a quick clip of it. Please, if you like it, click on the link in the video description to watch the full thing, and do like it and comment on it. It really, really helps the video's trajectory in the algorithm, particularly writing a comment. So thanks so much for watching. I'll play you a short trailer from it, and then again, if you can click on the link to watch the full thing and comment on the new channel, which is called Dare to Know, that would be brilliant. Thanks so much, and I'll see you at the next live.
Imagine you live in a country the size of New Jersey or Wales, and on your border there are 50,000 armed militants with 150,000 rockets ready to destroy you. What do? You might turn to the ancient Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu, who said all warfare is based on deception through espionage. Offer the enemy bait to lure him. On the 17th of September 2024, an enemy took the bait. A stunning undercover attack took place in Lebanon, targeting thousands of members of the Iranian-backed militant group Hezbollah. Who could have carried out such an unprecedented operation, and why? It was a sunny afternoon in Lebanon, a country on Israel's northern border. At 3:30 p.m, an astonishing attack from an invisible enemy shocked the country. Over 3,000 Hezbollah operatives received a message on their pages. As soon as they opened the message, a tiny hidden plastic explosive was ignited and the pages exploded. This is the stunning story of Mossad's insane operation.